Podcast, a podcast for sewists by sewists. I'm your host, Bethany.
And I'm your host, Audra. And today we are joined by someone who inspires creativity across the board. Fashion designer, content creator, sewing educator, Luisa Hurtado.
Hello.
Luisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
We are so honored. We love your content across all your channels. So active on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and all over. And it is just so fun to watch and see what you create. First, we'll kick off with an icebreaker. And this icebreaker is probably a little bit of a softball for you, Luisa. But if you had to grab one everyday item from your home to upcycle right now, what would it be?
I love how she's looking around her space.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what can I mean, more of my husband's jeans. He lost like 100 pounds, so his jeans used to be big. So those are good jeans to upcycle. But I'm like, yeah, maybe his jeans, more jeans from him, but for my own stuff. And I'll make myself something for me. Yeah,
I love it, and congrats to him on that. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it took him a minute, but we pushed through, and so proud of him. But yeah, it's more jeans from him, maybe to cover my sewing machines, like a cover or something.
Fun.
Because it's his jeans, so I don't want to put his jeans out there like for people to purchase, maybe. And yeah, just for me.
I mean, that could be a whole
kind of
thing.
weird, like giving away something of my husband or selling something of my husband to somebody else.
I can buy it from the thrift store, and I don't know whose it was, so not, I don't want to know. But when I know who they are, then I'll keep it.
It kind of stays at home.
Yeah.
Audra, what about you? What's something that you would grab? I know you love to upcycle.
Oh, so much. I actually grabbed an old beach towel. There's someone I saw on Instagram that had like an old vintage 70s beach towel that they turned into a really fun swimsuit cover up. And you remember like back in the 70s, they had those really fun beach towels that were the oranges and the greens and the tans and these like funky designs. And so now I'm kind of on a mission to see if I can find any more. But I have one. It's like tan and brown, but it's got these feathers on it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't create a cover up with it, but maybe I can do a cute summer top with it. I would grab a towel and try to do something fun with it.
I love it. I have
our non-upcycler. What are you going to do?
I like to create things from like take materials and turn them into a new, like make my own material kind of thing. But I'm not a thrifter. Like I don't go thrift shopping and stuff, but I have been given a couple of quilts that like my aunt made as like some of her first few quilts. And I've turned 2 of them into quilt coats, but I have one more that's left, and it's actually Christmas quilt. And I want to make it this fall for a Christmas quilt coat because I've made the other 2 that she's given me into quilt coats, and one of which I gave right back to her so she would have her own quilt coat. And she didn't know I was going to do that, and that was fun. So I need to do this last one that she gave me. It'll be my 4th or 5th quilt coat that I've made from quilts that were thrifted from my own closet, essentially, and repurposed. So I love making quilt coats. They're super fun.
I think we need to head out to Vegas and have Luisa take us on like a thrifting lesson. Because maybe then you might get on board with the thrifting train.
I just feel like thrifting here I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. So like thrifting here, it's just...
See, you've said that before, but I have such a hard time believing that with all the cool people in Nashville. There has to be like cool stuff.
That's like a city to find like cool stuff, like unique, vintage, maybe.
Maybe if I went to like Franklin where all those people live, but that's like an hour from me. So like I don't ever go down there. You know what I mean? Like I don't
it might be worth a Saturday jaunt there, Bethany.
Well, come visit and we'll do it. But
and then we'll go visit Luisa and she can teach us how to really thrift.
I feel like I need to like experience it outside of Nashville to probably enjoy it. I feel like it's better everywhere else. I watch all the videos. I see people go do these things, but I don't know. Maybe I haven't found the right spot. There's always these hidden spots.
Well, as you've kind of probably caught on by now, Luisa is a master at all things thrifting and upcycling and can take a pair of jeans and then turn them into the most designer bag you could possibly find. But Luisa, for those who are not familiar with your work or not a follower, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got here, and just give us a little bit more insight?
Yeah, well, how I got here. Well, I'm a fashion designer, and so I went through that stage of being the fashion designer that makes dresses and does their fashion shows and likes to make all these giant collections and stuff. I went to fashion school in Mexico, so I have a bachelor's in fashion design. And so I went through that season of being a fashion designer that, likes the dramatic dresses and makes stuff for customers and have my clients and stuff. And then I always wanted, I feel like, to keep learning. I love school. So I wanted to keep learning. And long story short, I met my husband and then I moved to the United States. And right there was a big contrast from coming from Mexico to the United States. I always bought secondhand in Mexico too. But then when I came to the United States, we would go to thrift stores and I noticed like, wow, there's so many good items at the thrift store and such good deals. And people back then, I feel like it wasn't that popular. This I'm talking about like 8, 9, 10 years ago. I feel like it wasn't that popular, so there was more stuff, and I was shocked like how many items there were. And so I got into upcycling a little bit more. I did a little bit of upcycling in college, but not the way I do it now. So I started doing more and more, and I don't know, I was just making stuff and bags and backpacks, and I kind of moved away from the dresses and clothing. I was just making clothes for myself. And then I just fell in love more and more and more with bags and then backpacks. And then one day, because I love teaching and learning, I just love school. I started my YouTube channel and I thought, I'm just going to share how to make a backpack with jeans. And I gave out all the measurements and the whole tutorial. And then TikTok came out, and so it was becoming more popular, and so I started a TikTok account, and then I posted that one video. I repurposed it kind of, and I was sharing my story while I was making the backpack, and from there on, this is where I'm at now. It just literally changed my career, and then I started making more videos and more stuff, and then people wanted the pattern and people wanted more videos and this stuff and this other stuff. And so till this day, that backpack is like what people want to do the most and what has actually opened doors for opportunity in the industry, not only social media, but more into like the teaching and all that. So that's kind of how it all started. And yeah, now I'm here.
It's like you had kind of that lightning in a bottle moment. You just happen to post the right thing at the right time, and all those dominoes aligned in a perfect way.
I think it's also really interesting that because we've had this question before, is like, how do you just like put yourself out there? And you just did. All it takes is doing it and not thinking about what everybody else is doing. You're just like, hey, here's this platform. I'm going to do this. Or here's YouTube. I'm going to start a channel. So do you have any advice or tips looking back at where you started and where you're at now? Like advice for those who maybe are second guessing that and how to just get over that hump and just do it?
Yeah, don't overthink it. And if you save it long enough on drafts, I realized actually lately more about like, I noticed if you leave it on drafts, you're never going to post it. And you're going to think about it and you're going to rethink it and overthink it. And you're going to think, you're going to see the other person. And you know what they say, comparison is the thief of joy. And the comparison is the thief of your creativity. And so you're comparing yourself and you're comparing your content. You're like, no, I was going to post this, but now I saw this. And so now you're looking at stuff with those eyes. So if you have an idea, post it. You never know. It's like people say it's like a lottery ticket. You never know which one's going to hit, and just post it. Obviously do a good job. I do put a lot of attention, maybe too much, into like details and editing and sound and you know how things look like people think that I just put a camera and I just start recording. No, I test it before I hit record, and then I edit it and I fix the sound, fix the lighting, fix the colors and everything. So just post it. That would be my recommendation. Just do it. Just start and don't be embarrassed and just do it, because you literally never know. I never started my YouTube channel to be what it is now. I have over 1 million subscribers. Like, what, how in the world, like, if you would have told me that when I started, like, that wasn't even my goal. I just wanted to teach people. And you know how you when you first share it, you share it with your friends and your family, and they know you as a friend, as a family. But when you get to the point where you can reach the people that actually need that content and want to use the things that you're teaching, then you'll skyrocket your content and your creativity. So just do it, just post it, and just start.
I remember when I first came across your account, I think you had your Instagram account, you had around like 300,000 followers. And I think it was maybe 9 months later, I happened to like look again, and you were at almost 1 million. You were at like 980,000. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was just so cool to see that trajectory. And I think my question about just making the content, can you tell us about the Barbie content?
Oh my God.
Because I love the Barbie reels.
I love them. I just have like 2 of them at this point, and I think about making more, but it's a lot of work. That's actually it's a lot of work. So you can do it multiple ways. You can just move it and get out of the shot, and move it, get out of the shot, move it, and when you're editing, you just chop it. But then there's a cute tool on TikTok. So now you hit the thingy, and you can see where it was originally. So you see that you're not moving it too much. So like the next shot, you're not completely.
Cool. Yeah.
And so now you can save it to your phone and reuse it.
It's like a stop motion kind of video.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, because I watched it and I was like, that's really cool. But when you watch those, it looks a little more seamless. But if you know how those are made, it's like photo, 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 all turned into like a lot of photos. I'm curious, because we've kind of mentioned your following and how much you've grown. Like, how do you manage the growth with all of those channels? Like, while balancing everything that you do and create, managing an account that size is something that I don't have experience in. And I'm just curious. I know there's probably some joys that come from it and some opportunities, but there's also probably some things that you didn't see coming that have come with it, maybe some negative things. And sometimes people don't share that stuff. I'm just curious, like, how do you manage the good and the bad of that?
Yeah, well, I have a very nice husband that cheers me up, and I just bring it. You know how men are, and they're like, just rub it off. It's not a big deal. So I have a good support system. I would say I have my sister is in marketing, so she kind of helps me with, she gives me ideas and stuff like that. But I would say it did come kind of fast. I think I found the secret to my content specifically, and what I know it's gonna, like, I know when a video is gonna go, I guess I want viral, and I know when a video is gonna hit, and I know when an item is gonna be popular, because I think I now understand my audience, and I understand what people like and what they don't like, what they care about, the language I speak in certain videos, because I speak Spanish. It's my main language, and so certain videos and the way they perform. But I've learned to just grow with it. It's not a big deal. Like I always tell my husband, I can disappear tomorrow, delete everything, and I don't exist no more. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, because you can just disappear and you don't exist no more. And I can erase all my social media and it'll be gone. And just not putting my identity on that, I would say, or my whole, like, my life. So yes, I'm a content creator and I live off of that, but I don't make it a big deal. And so I take it relaxing. I just keep growing with it. There's a lot of bad things that happen, I guess, with fame or following. I would say the one that bothers me sometimes the most is when people steal my content. So they grab the video and they post it on their account to promote something. And that's when and sometimes they give the credit and stuff, but sometimes they literally like cover my watermarks on their videos. And so I did have to hire some people to help me with reporting the videos. And we go on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Did I say YouTube already? All the platforms, Pinterest. Pinterest is a big one. And so we go there and we report videos that are not giving the credit properly. If you're crediting the creator and you're linking everything, they know that none of that's going to be removed. But if it's not, then unfortunately it's reported. So that's kind of like the down part, I would say. But other than that, you just keep posting and take it lightly. It's not a big deal. It's social media. You make it as big or as small as you want. And I'm just enjoying it, and I'm going to do it until I'm not having any more fun. So I'm just having fun with it, moving along with it. And as long as people like it, and as long as people, I guess, consume it or watch it, I'm just going to keep doing it and, just grow with it.
I love it.
I think that's great. And you mentioned your bilingual content. How does that affect how you connect with your audience? And do you see different conversations happening in different languages? So when you post things in English versus in Spanish?
Yeah. The Spanish speaking audience is a little bit different than the English speaking audience. And so, I just move with it. For like stories, I know that I have to post sometimes both languages. I have, I would say half and half, but not half of them speak English. I have a lot of international languages, but I know that English is the one that people see. So I have it from Germany. France is big on sewing, I've noticed. And so as far as my patterns go, people ask me, people from Italy, and they want these patterns in their language, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to make it in English and Spanish, and trying to manage those two. But most people know English, so I just try to like do half and half when I can. And I already know that when there's a certain language on a video, it's obviously going to go more for a certain audience rather than not even putting audio on it. That's like probably the best option for me. But yeah, there's good and bad comments. More good than bad, I would say. Some people, there's like those two sides of upcycling where people think that I'm getting something brand new and upcycling it. I only do that if somebody asks me specifically for a certain item. And those stories I'll drive. You've probably seen those videos where I get, people send me, if there's a late loved one, they send me the item, and then I make it into something for them to keep, like a bag or something. But if I don't go to the store and buy a new pair of Levi's and upcycle them, I go to the thrift store, and yes, at the thrift store you find almost brand new stuff, and sometimes I'm like, ooh, I don't want to cut these ones, but then I'm like, you know what? It's a second chance. I saw things at the thrift store that some other people haven't seen, where things go to waste, literally to the trash. And so sometimes, certain audiences react different because of their background and their culture and their traditions, I would say. But you just go along with it, like I said, with everything else. Try to be patient and tolerant, and just I'm doing it for something good. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. So
Is it hard to decide which videos you do in which language?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I wish they all spoke my one language. If everybody speaks English, then I'll just do English. If everybody spoke Spanish, I'll just do Spanish. But sometimes I have to translate them because I'm trying to reach both. And sometimes I'm actually testing like what people would do. And so sometimes I speak Spanish and put subtitles in English. Sometimes I do it the other way. Sometimes I do both. And then my sister's like, no, that's too much text. And so, I just play around with it and and go with it. But yeah, I do struggle sometimes with that decision.
Do you see like different trends based on that audience difference with the languages? Yeah. You're like, oh, I know this trend is very much tailored to the Spanish audience versus the English. Obviously, that kind of becomes the reason you would do that one. I'm just curious if you see a difference in the trends or if they kind of more align.
No, they're not. They're not very aligned. They are very different because of, I would say, not just the language, just the culture. Because obviously, different language, different culture, and so different. I have to sometimes be like on the TikTok side of the Hispanic trends, and then I have to be on the TikTok side of the American trends, and so I have to kind of like play with both and work with both, and like what music is hitting on this side and what songs are hitting over here, what audios are working. I just made a video about how when you're sewing at home and then you make dinner and then it burns and now the whole house stinks. That's a very Mexican, Hispanic-ish, Latin America coded, I feel, because we in Mexico, like you bring it to your seamstress and they work from home. And I literally would pick up stuff that smelled like food, which is not bad because I know people when they get stuff from me, there's a risk of my stuff smelling because I work from home. And so, but I feel like Hispanic people understood that joke a little bit more and I knew. Yeah, just sometimes trying stuff and then if I put the song of Justin Bieber on a video, I know it's gonna hit more on United States and stuff like that. So yeah, just playing with it, and I do a lot of testing. Like people think you have it figured out because you have a million followers. I'm literally testing things every day. I'm just saying that you never know if it's gonna hit or not, but you have an idea and you just kind of work with that.
I don't know how you balance all the trends because I'm always like, I feel like I'm late to the party usually.
All the time.
And all the time. I know that with coming with following and especially the following that you've grown, that it creates an opportunity to partner with some really cool brands. And part of that I know is your brother sewing ambassadors. I would love for you to share a little bit about like how that partnership has maybe changed or impacted your platforms and your how you create for your audience and the impact that's had with growing your brand.
Yeah. Well, it's literally a dream come true. I've always had brother machines since I was in college. The domestic one, which I still have, the one your standard one, and then my dad got me the industrial one, and it was brother, and it was always brother. And so I always thought like, oh, maybe one day I'll work with him, and if I grow enough on my social media, they'll reach out and whatever. But it was always like back there, like I reached out to them a couple times, never heard from them, and then one time I heard back, they're like, "Oh no, we're full," and I said, "Okay, all right." That was for Brother US, and then out of nowhere, later on, Brother Latin America reached out and they said that they would like to work with me and if I wanted to be an ambassador for them, and it was like after years, a dream come true for me because I actually do love Brother. I've never used any other brand. I know that there's a lot more, but I know there's like two or three that I know that are bigger in the US. But for me, Brother has been great. I've never had any issues. I had issues with other brands, but I'm not gonna say names. But Brother has been great. It has been great every time, and every time I upgrade or change a machine, it's Brother, and I mean it's worked. And so anyway, that kind of like helped with organically bringing it to my audience, and it was a good way to also reach other people in more countries. I'm able to see, when I talk to the team from Brother, they're like obviously super nice, and they love what I do, and I love what they do, and they've allowed me to, I feel like, bless other people with sewing machines and giving them tools. And when you purchase something, you get this for free and stuff like that. So it's been a beautiful experience, more than just being a dream brand for me. It allowed me to connect with more people and giving them tools for them to start something. Because in Latin America, especially, sewing, it's a on the lower end. They don't get paid as much as I would like them to get paid. And so it's nice to see them like use that talent to make their own brand or start their own thing, their own business little by little. And so it's been a beautiful opportunity to help that people start something and have something to use for good, for their money, for business, for as a hobby. I even had people that, I'm not going to say what they used to do, but they used to do something that wasn't that good for money, and then they came and they shared with me, they found my account and they're like, "Hey, I love sewing. I started this one thing and it's a new hobby, and now I can make it into a business, and now my focus is on another thing." And so just that one person just kept motivating me and thinking like, if one, two, three, four, five people get out of whatever they're doing that they don't want to do, and they get into sewing, because it's a beautiful hobby, it's a beautiful like art, I would say, where you can, I know sometimes it's not like you get like crazy because the thing's not working out for you, but sometimes it's good for like, anxiety, and you just forget about everything because you're focused on the sewing, and then all of a sudden 3 hours went by and stuff. So it's been nice, a good opportunity to reach for like to more people and bless them with more opportunities for them to get a machine, to get the tools for them to start something. So
Are there other brands that you've partnered with that you're like, I've loved these partnerships, or better yet, is there a brand that is on your bucket list to partner with?
well, partnering with Salvation Army don't get me started. That's like an awesome opportunity because I'm Christian and my life changed in that environment. And so they changed people's lives and they have rehab centers and everything. People, just so you know, when you're going thrifting, go to Salvation Army, okay? Because all their funds go to rehab centers. And I went to the rehab centers with them. I walked the rehab center, I walked the rooms, I walked the kitchen, I walked the thrift store, the warehouse. I talked to people that like their life changed completely at the rehab centers. And they're not forced to believe nothing, never. You're only required to attend certain things and they're like there to help you. And so the fact that the thrift store funds these programs for people on the streets and on, that are suffering with addiction just makes the Salvation Army like 10 times, 1,000 times better. And so I'm like, every time they're like, you want to round up 1 cent? I'm like, absolutely, round it up 1 penny. And the Salvation Army it's been a dream collaboration. I work with them with a couple videos and they keep supporting my work. They give me jeans for my upcycling workshops. And then I go there and, promote their sales and stuff. And it's been a dream to work with them because of what they're actually doing. They're a nonprofit. And so everything that they're doing, and nobody just told me, like, I literally saw the people that lives were changed. So that one was a really good one. I worked with Levi's too. That was like probably the very first one I worked with. They are like, hey, can we pay you to get some jeans and make something and we'll upload it to our TikTok? And so that was a good collaboration. I worked with them for a couple of years. We made a few videos together. So that was a really cool experience. And then I worked with Savers as well, the thrift store, the Elle magazine, but Elle Education. They have a college or like a school for masters and certificates and diplomas in Spain in English and Spanish. And so I work with them to promote their school. And then now Domestika, where people that want to learn stuff, you go online and you can learn. So it's where I have my online courses. Bucket list, I won't say who I want to work with because I'm gonna let God open the door. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. But there's a few companies that I would like to work with. But if the door opens, great. If it doesn't, it's been awesome. What has opened already has been amazing. There's been so many good opportunities. So I feel super.
You never know. They could be listening to this podcast.
Let Bethany and I know, and if we know somebody, we're happy to make an introduction.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yes,
absolutely.
Totally. I'm here.
You mentioned teaching on Domestika. Talk a little bit about how that changed how you interact with your community from social media to a more education-focused platform.
First, before I share that, I want to say that speaking in English opened that door too a little bit because the course is in English. And I said, like, well, my main language is Spanish. And they're like, no, but we want the course in English. People want to do upcycling and sewing, but we noticed market in United States and people that speak English. So the course is in English. So just going back to what you originally asked about the languages, just going out of my comfort zone, because obviously my content was all in Spanish always. And then I started thinking like, well, I'm speaking English at work and I'm speaking English with my husband as I teach him to grow his Spanish and he's teaching me the English. And so I'm like, I'm going to make some videos in English and see where that takes me. And then I open a whole new world in another area like of following. And so that actually opened the door with Domestika too, because they're like, no, we saw that you make content in English. We want you to speak English in the course. And so, well, to answer your question, I had to learn all these sewing words in English that I always said in Spanish. And so I had to buy certain books and about pattern making. There are certain things that I can't pronounce, and there are things that, and you're teaching people. And so I had to learn a couple words, several, I would say, in the sewing industry for me to be able to teach people. But yeah, I learned a lot from the very first one. And then we did a second one. And it was like doing my YouTube videos times a million with the audio and everything so professional. And, you have to upload the patterns and everything for people to use as, support and stuff. So it's it helped me grow, and it helped me in the way I communicate, the way I teach, and being more detailed in my work. Because sometimes I'll be like, people know how to sew, they can do that part. But I learned that certain people don't watch, like they're not intermediate or advanced. They're basically starting. And so yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but I've learned a lot, and I think I've grown on that area, and I changed the way I teach and share my content as well. So
I think that's my sign that maybe I need to
yeah.
start creating more content in Italian, because I do my
There you
daily
go.
Italian every day, but I actually need to make sewing content in Italian. Oh my God, no, I would die.
You
But
should
like,
be
honey, this frame piece behind me, for those of you on YouTube, one of the vintage patterns I sewed, it was one of the big 4 vintage patterns, and I opened it up, and in the glossary, let me go look, it says it's French, Spanish, German, Italian, and Dutch. And it's so it's like all the sewing terms across all those languages. I'm like, this is so cool, because today's patterns don't have this. So I cut it out and I framed it just because I thought it was so cool to see all the different terms across the board. But
that brings me to a question, because you kind of mentioned it, is just the terminology of what things are called from one language to the other can be challenging. And I have a friend who speaks Spanish and English, and she teaches sewing. And she said, one of the challenges she has is she learned to sew in America, like in English. And so when she is asked to make content in Spanish, she's sometimes going, I don't know the Spanish word for this term in English, And so is that part of that challenge of like being able to educate? It's like, okay, this is what we call it here, this is what we call it here. Is this the same thing even? Like, am I saying, like, I feel like that would be really hard. Really hard.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and certain words are like, it sounds right in here. It sounds right. But then I look it up, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't say it right. And for example, the very first course, I try to learn certain words, but then I look back at it and I'm like, oh, I said it like the whole time. I said it a certain way, and it wasn't like that. But you can understand. And there's 2,700 people that did the course and has 5-star reviews. So I'm thinking people enjoyed it. I'm super thankful. It's certain words, they literally are not the same. Certain words you can kind of play with them. There's so many I could give you as examples, but I don't want to put myself here on the spot.
No, but that's like a challenge that I, as who only speaks English, wouldn't even realize until having one of these types of conversations, right? And that's why I asked it, is because I think there's a lot of people in my situation that just speak one language, whether it's Spanish, Italian, English, whatever, and we just don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And learning from your experience and from my friend's experience, it's kind of opened my eyes to going, oh, like, yeah, I think our sewing community transcends language barriers, because sewing brings us all together, but like how we communicate or how we teach can be a big impact in that. I appreciate you sharing that. You're learning to be able to teach others to learn. And it's interesting to see what you're having to put into it to be able to do that. And I think that's really special. And probably a lot of people don't even realize all that you've put into it to be able to do what you do. So I just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, thank you. It is a lot of work that goes behind it. For these courses, I prepare for months, and I get stuff ready, PDFs, patterns. I study it, and then I make the structure. I write it all down, and learning the language and the culture, the things I say, the things I shouldn't say, all that. It's a lot of work, but I enjoy it. And like I said, I love teaching, and I love learning. I just love school. Mm-hmm. I just love whatever has to do with learning. You got to do what you got to do. So I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely get that. Is there a project you have done that really captures everything you love about upcycling?
That might be a tough one.
The very first thing that comes to my mind is the bucket bag. That's a project that I love. It's like such a simple, if you think about it, like such a simple, bucket bag. Like everybody can make a bucket bag, but there's so many, somehow I figured to put details on it where you can see these were a pair of jeans with the seams. We'll insert a picture if we can.
Yeah.
I don't have one handy, but just like the details on it, the pockets, and then adding elements that weren't part of it, but that just like make it more like elevate the look a little bit with the gold grommets and the all the other stuffy that what are those called in English? The
The hardware, all the
the
hardware.
hardware. Actually, everything here is in English. So like I mark everything in English, so I remember it. So I should have remembered that. But yeah, just kind of mixing the two, and then yeah, that's a project that I was like, oh, shocked at myself because I was like, I'm just gonna record myself doing this one, and then I was like, oh wow, that turned out great, and I can make a pattern, and I can people can download it, and I can make a tutorial, and so I feel like that one also has like taken me places. I feel, but yeah, that's a project that I love, and I feel like it brings everything together that I love about upcycling, which is denim, upcycling old stuff, jeans, mixing new with old, and making something that you would never expect out of such a simple accessory. I feel.
I've seen that one, and they're stunning. I am curious though, like I know you talk about teaching and supporting beginners, but do you also find this balance to like do some more advanced things or help them grow in their techniques and their journey, but that way you're relevant to those who are just getting started, but those who are taking those next steps to intermediate or even advanced sewists? And how do you kind of balance the content to be relevant and entertain everyone watching?
Yeah, I always try to do simple and intermediate and then a little advanced. And so I mix a little bit of everything because I do have a lot of beginners that follow me. They never had a sewing machine. They sew by hand. There's people that did my online course, but they got their sewing machine and they did the backpack from the course for the very first time. Like that was their first project. And so I kind of have to balance things, but I feel like certain things, like you don't have to be an expert. You kind of go with it, and just as long as you practice and you don't ruin the main fabric, you're fine. But I have other like super simple projects, like the one we do at the in-person upcycling workshops. That's like super easy. You don't even have to know how to sew. Like we make it quick. I do teach how to upcycle and certain techniques, but like it's a lot of for beginners and for people that literally have no idea on how to sew. So yeah, I try to mix both because you don't want to lose the audience, So you kind of like gotta mix both of them, and just give a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And you have one of those upcycling workshops coming up, I believe. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes. At the time of the recording, I have one literally tomorrow. And then when the podcast comes out, there will be another one September 20th. And these events are hosted by the city of Las Vegas. And they bring me in, and it's free for people to attend. So first come, first serve. And it's going to happen September 20th here in Vegas. And you don't have to bring anything unless the flyer says to. But I think this time we're going to upcycle a denim jacket. And so more details will be posted on my social media. But yes, we have another upcycling workshop. And I love doing that because I love teaching and people get to experience it for free. So
I love it. That's exciting. Teaching is fun virtually. All three of us do it, but all three of us also teach in person. And there's just something special about that in-person interaction and getting that immediate, like watching someone make it and that aha light bulb moment when they get it, right? Or they finish it and they're so proud of themselves. Like I think we get more out of it as teachers than they probably do sometimes. And having those unique opportunities to teach in person is really cool. I do have a question for you that wasn't on our list. So Audra, I'm going rogue. But is there a type of sewing you haven't done that you're like, one day I would like to learn this, tackle this, try this, even if you never film it and share it publicly, like just for you?
quilting. I respect quilters. It's a lot of work, and I heard this one time. They said it's so much work that you can't even sell it because there's no way you're going to pay me for the amount of work that it actually took me to make it. And so when I heard that, I was like, yeah, if the stuff that I make, which I consider in my eyes now, it's like on the easier side. And then I see the quilts that people make, and it's like insane, the work and the hours and the lining up of everything. Yeah, just thinking about it, I'm already stressed out. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and I feel like people would ask me, and I would be like, no, I've never actually quilted something, and they're gonna be like, what? Like I feel like I have to learn it, but it's not something that I'm trying to do as a business or as a nothing. I just want to
challenge
like learn.
yourself.
Yeah, because it seems like it's just a lot of work. But yeah, and
Bethany and I can help you with this.
I know I was gonna say
both
that.
help with this one.
Yeah. And yeah, quilting is. I read that there's 9 to 11 million quilters in America, something like that.
It's a big part of the sewing community and the
huge
part of the sewing industry here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel you. I always for years said I would never quilt because my only experience with quilting was watching my mom do it. And she's a perfectionist, and it's like the precision, the time it takes to cut, all the planning, the picking out fabrics. Do these match? She would always ask me, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, just pick something. Like, to me, it wasn't as big of a deal, but to her, it was huge, right? And so all the planning and the thought and how much time it would take to do the whole thing. And I just saw that and go, there's no way I like the fast, quick projects. I like to get the quick reward of like the start to finish. And I kind of feel like you might be the same way. But I have found ways to incorporate quilting that works for me. There's some smaller projects or doing panels, so I'm not doing all the piecing, or doing quilted bags, so I can kind of get that quilting fun, but like I'm not doing, like I've done quilted sleeves or quilted blocks on shirts, so I can get a little bit of it, but I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I could see myself maybe having a project on the side that I kind of chip away at, but I've always been one of those start and finish. So I think you have to be in the right mindset, but never say never, because I used to say that. I'd say I'd never do it, and then here I am wanting to quilt all the things. I'm making quilted shoes, I'm making quilted bags, quilt coats. Now I'm working on big quilting projects, and I'm teaching sew-alongs. And so you just never know. It's fun, but I have found that my experience with it from what I saw, didn't have to be my experience with it. And I found a way to make it enjoyable for me, because it can be very flexible, but it
looks fun, and it looks like a lot of work, and I want to see more, because I have my own line of scissors too. I want to see more quilters use them, because I know it's a lot of thick materials. These are like made for heavy duty, thick denim, canvas, like thick layers. And so I want to see more quilters use them and see what they think. We are coming out with a longer version too. So those are 8 inches. So we're going to do 10 inches. I just want to see more people use them, see how they feel. I feel like they would be super good for quilting. Audra, you'll have to let me know later.
I'm working on the most detailed quilts I've worked on in a long time, so I can help you out with that.
I want a pair of those just to cut out my quilt coats, because I'm cutting out a finished quilt and then sewing it into a coat, and it is thick. And so like I struggle with cutting them out. Like my hands hurt. So like I feel like I need to get a pair of those, because that's the one thing that kind of makes me hesitant to like do it, is like I just know I'm going to be on the floor with my hands, like trying to cut through that.
There's Audra.
Luisa can hook you up.
I'm going to get me some.
I think I bought them like the day you announced them. I was like, purchase.
Yes, thank you so much. That means the world.
And we'll link them. We'll link everything in our show notes. So whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to any podcast platform, we put a lot of information in our show notes. So if you've never gone to look at them, you should. But there's always links to follow our guests. There's always links to their socials and their websites and their products. And so you should go always check that out. So Spool School, do we want to jump into that?
School is an opportunity to share a tip, some advice, some knowledge you have. Usually it's Bethany and I, but when we have a guest, we have the guests do it themselves. Is there anything you would like to share? It doesn't have to be anything huge, but a nice tip you would like to share when it comes to sewing for our listeners.
Well, since I work with a lot of denim and thicker materials, do you guys use these?
What is
I
it?
can't see it. Hold on.
Put it in
Hold
front
it
of
more
you.
in front of you. Oh, razor blades?
Razor blades.
Razor blades?
Yeah.
So people see me using these in my videos and they're like, why are you using that? And I'm like, that's like the most. I learned that. I used to work at a bridal shop where we alter and make wedding dresses. And we used it all the time to take pieces apart. And I found out that's like super easy and fast and convenient. So I started using them. And it's like they're super sharp and they like break things apart so nicely. And you can buy them pretty much anywhere, including my website. But they're like the perfect tool that you wouldn't think of. And I didn't know that a lot of people seemed shocked that I used it. But it takes things apart so nicely. So I recommend giving it a shot. And I have a kit on my website too, if you want to check them out. And then I also just recently learned that you can buy pattern rulers at Home Depot. And like, what's that other one called? Like Lowe's and
Both.
there's other ones, but you can find like those rulers, the L-shaped one, and they have a pattern making paper, which is like butcher paper, but it's cheaper if you go to Harbor Freight. I think it's the other one, Harbor Freight, like that.
Yeah.
There, and you can buy the rulers, the L-shaped one. You can buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's. And I saw a bunch of videos on TikTok where people go there and they're like, you don't have to go to a specialized store, or if you live somewhere where you can, or whatever. It's on the cheaper side because obviously they're not specialized, but they still work for what, I still use my Home Depot, like it's 1 meter or a yard long, I think. And I use it for my projects. And so if you want to check out your local hardware store, check it out.
Don't sleep on that, y'all. I've done it.
I had no idea. And with the loss of Joann's, that's huge. Just and less expensive.
And being that you do a lot of bag making, I went to Harbor Freight and got one of those 1-ton arbor presses, and you put a magnet to it, and then you can put any die cut attachment to it. You don't need to buy all the extra ones. So it's like $60-$70. You don't know this, Audra?
No.
Okay, so
what are you doing right now? I'm blowing my mind, both of you.
I
am obsessed. Go to Harbor Freight and Lowe's, and
I grew up at Lowe's every Saturday with my dad, and so that's like I do all this woodworking stuff. But I went to a bag making retreat, and someone told me about it, and I was like, wait, what? Because I thought I was going to have to spend like hundreds of dollars on one of these presses and get all the different cams, and then like which cams do I need? Well, I always have the right cams for the different bags, or I'm trying to do eyelets on quilted shoes over here. And someone told me about this, and I was like, so immediately I get home from this retreat, and I made my fiance go with me to carry the heavy box. But I was like, I need to find this immediately. And it's a 1-ton arbor press. It looks just like the other presses, but it's got like a dual arm, so it's like easy to use. And you take a little magnet. You can get the magnets at Harbor Freight too. And you just stick the magnet to the bottom of it. I wish it was behind me. And then any of those attachments, here, I'll show you. Like, I have them right here. This is so silly that we're talking about this, but they're not in here. They're with my press. But you get like the rivet or the eyelets, and they come with those tools to use with them, so you can do it manually. All those tools are metal, and you just stick them to the magnet and you press it down. So it's easy. You just use what comes with the kits. And so you always have the right tool for the right hardware. And I was just like, this makes so much sense. And so I actually have a little video that I need to edit and post, but like it's $60-$70, and then that's it. And like he bought me one of those little like toolboxes. It's pink or purple or something, pink I think, and all my little stuff goes in there. But you can also use it with like letter presses. So if you wanted to letter press into leather, you can buy the kit with the letters, and you just put the because it's all metal, so it just sticks to the magnet, and you just press it down.
I don't know
Yeah.
whether to be mad at you for not telling me this sooner or to love you for telling me this now. But all I know is you need to send all of this
I'll
information
just
to us personally, as well as putting it in the show
I
notes.
will. I will. And this will motivate me to finally edit the
Finally get
video.
it done.
I'm always about finding ways. I may not be the thriftiest person, but I don't pay full price for things. And so I'm always finding the way to save a buck because that's money to go on a retreat or money to buy more fabric that I want for a project and stuff. So I'm always trying to ways to be like savvy. And this is definitely one of them. So I'll share it. I'll post it.
We're going to go into our You Love to See It segment, and I will kick it off with Bethany laughed at me because we have our notes that we share. And mine just says smoked meat.
I was like, what?
That's all it says. Though that's all it says in my notes. And we hop in. She's like, "Why does your You Love to See It say smoked
meat? And where do I get some?"
So there's a bit of a story here. So my husband, after many, many, many years of needing a new grill, finally upgraded to a new smoker / grill this summer. And he has been completely off to the races in making all the delicious food all summer long. We've made cakes on it. We've made cookies on it. We've made bread on it. We've made meat. It's done everything.
Sounds like I need to visit again.
You do need to visit again because currently, as we are shooting, the windows are open.
Yeah.
And there is 15 pounds of pork shoulder currently being smoked on the smoker outside. And the smell is just wafting in here. So I'm just sitting here as we record with my stomach growling.
I was going to say, is that what I heard earlier? I'm just kidding.
The You Love to See It is seeing someone branch out into a new creative field. Something he hadn't tried before. He was a great grill master before, but now he's trying all these new things, and my stomach gets to benefit, and it is wonderful.
Have you made him an apron? I feel like he needs a special apron for this.
You know what I could do? It would be fun to I have still some of his old jeans. So Luisa, I think, as you know, my family puts all of their stuff on my sewing table when they're done with it. So I've got his dress shirts, I've got his jeans, I've got Charlie's jeans, I've got everything. So I think I still have some of his jeans in the closet. So maybe I should turn it in to a really fun grill master type apron with some cool grommets and leather and stuff. That'd be fun.
You should. And you take one of the back pockets and you can make it like a front pocket, and then you use the belt loops to hold his grilling tools. I made an apron pattern when I worked at Singer using repurposed denim. See, I have repurposed things. And I used all these different pieces. I even raided my son's closet for some jeans that were too small for him and was able to use them in my work projects. But yeah, he needs a custom Audra apron. It's your payment for all the yumminess that you're going to get to eat. I would say that my You Love to See It this week is, you guys know, if you follow me on Instagram, you know I've really kind of gotten into my quilting era more than it hit me. I didn't seek it out, it just found me, and I'm just as surprised as the rest of you. But I am on a mission to if I'm gonna dive into this and really make bigger quilts, I want to be able to do the whole process, and that means I want a long arm quilt machine, the whole kit and caboodle. And I'm working on figuring out how to make that possible. And in the meantime, I'm looking at ways to get myself prepared because it's going to happen. I'm putting it out there. So the day before I leave for Houston Quilt Market, the OSQE show is here in Nashville. And and it's the only day I get to go because it's right before I leave for Quilt Market. But I'm going that one day with my friend Jennifer, and we're both taking a 4-hour long arming beginners class together. And I don't usually take classes at expos. I'm usually just there to shop around and network, but I'm taking it. I'm look, even if I don't get their long arm, at least I'm getting some experience and make sure that this is really what I want to dive into. So I'm actually really excited to take this class because I don't ever get to take classes. I'm usually teaching classes, and it's all new to me. It's the one area of sewing I've never done, and I'm so eager to do it. So that's my You Love to See It as an upcoming long arming class to scratch that itch to learn something new. Louisa, what is your You Love to See It this week?
There's a couple positive good things that happen and I'm excited about, but a simple thing that I can think about is my husband yesterday got off work early and he took me to brunch. So that was nice, downtown Las Vegas. And then the other one is that next week I'm going to Hawaii because it's my birthday. And
Hey,
so,
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
thank you. I've never been to Hawaii. I never thought I was going to, but now I had the chance. I'm going with my sisters, and I thrifted almost every single outfit. And this past week, I found some hats for the son, and I was looking for them for forever because I wanted a specific style. And I found them, so that was a positive. And so I'm all ready for Hawaii.
That's exciting. And happy early
that feels-
birthday.
Happy early birthday, and we can't wait to see. I'm hoping there's some content that's going to be shot with these great outfits because now we want to all see them.
Yes.
Enjoy
Yeah.
vacation, but take some photos.
Yes, will do. I'm launching a pattern on my birthday, which is next week, but it'll be out already by the time this podcast comes out. But yeah, I'm just using opportunities to create different stuff and staying creative.
Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been so fun to get to know you more. And I know our audience is just going to soak this up. And we're excited about the things you have going on. So everyone who's listening, please go to our show notes and check out Luisa. If you're not following her already, you should be. And if you're ever in Vegas, just to see if she's teaching and go catch one of her classes. That would be amazing.
Yeah, you should come. Yeah, there will be more workshops next year.
Luisa, this has meant the world to us, and thank you so much for your time. Please stay in touch with us on all of our channels, Instagram, Facebook, in the Social Sewists group. Follow us on YouTube. Share these episodes with your friends if you enjoy what we're putting out. We love hearing from you, and we can't wait to talk to you next week when we are going to take listener questions, because we're 6 months into this and we want to hear from you and can't wait to hear what you guys have to say and would like to hear about. So until next week, happy sewing.